Welcome to the gateway to the weekend. It is Friday once again, and it is an exciting Friday because everything that we talked about back in March, this is your last day to order. So I know a lot of you guys were excited about the AC4400s. Today's the last day to order. So if you want to get those in your working on your layout this time next year, you're going to want to go down to your dealer and pre-order those. And again, everything we talked about in March this is the last day for pre-orders. We also talk about everything that's new in April. Before we get started, let's do a few shout outs, see how everybody's doing on this gateway to the weekend. Delta 9 says, hey, Ethan, hello. BN Green 1970, Jonathan, Gordon, Keegan, and Sid, Nick, Ronald, Anthony, Donnie, Idaho Rail Fan, Frederick, and Harold, Brandon, and Herc is here. Joe is here. A lot of guys joining us. So if you haven't heard, today's kind of a big day for Atheran. We've changed some things. We are streamlining the brand somewhat, making it a lot easier for you guys to figure out what your next locomotive or next freight car is. We're expanding N scale. Just a lot of great things going on. We're concentrating on just the Atheran brand. So it's now Atheran is going to be the biggest part of everything that we do. And then we also have Roundhouse by Atheran, and that's everything for younger modelers or people just getting into the hobby. And then at the other end of the spectrum, our premium brand, Atheran Genesis. And we have now introduced N scale into Genesis, which means you're going to start seeing some Genesis level quality in N scale equipment because you guys asked for it. And we're excited to give you those things in these new brands. And it's a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. But today we're going to talk mainly about April, and we're going to go through the packet. And you'll see some changes. You'll see how we've changed it up a little bit from what we've done in the past. Before we get started, though, let's see who else is out there joining us today. We've got James, Mike, Gerald, Lopez, Gerald, David, Ian, Mr. Jim Straka, Mr. Conrail himself. And let's see, who else do we have? Mike, Matt, Brad. Brad said he's ordered his CEFX AC4400. Thanks, Brad. We appreciate it. I still got time after the show. I need to order one. I just haven't figured out which one I need to order. We got David and Nick. And Ronald's happy because he saw that we were going to have some Kodachrome. So, yeah, we've got a couple of things in Kodachrome for you today. And let's see, Mike, James, and Gerald. So let's get started. Let's see what we've got going on. So the first thing that we want to talk about is, yeah, we unveiled new logos today. And, you know, it's more than just logos. I want everybody to realize it's more than just pretty colors and fancy new logos. We're actually using those as demarcation points for what we're going to carry. And one of the things that we're doing is the Genesis line. You're going to see a lot of changes within the Genesis line. You're going to see a lot of new things developed over the next year. And yes, we've had some new stuff already with the P42s in the Genesis line, the SD70 ACUs, the Dash 9s. And soon we're going to be seeing we're going to be seeing some California cars. So stay tuned. We got some really good stuff coming up. But let's talk about something a little bit on the fun side. So these are our commemorative box cars, if you will. And we're offering them in HO and N scale. Now we're offering them per the brands that they are. So let's start up here with the Atheran HO. We've got one for Roundhouse. We've got one for the Atheran brand, and we've got one for Genesis, and they're in their key colors. We're also offering the two brands offered in N scale, which currently is Atheran N scale and Atheran Genesis N scale. So these are coming as a set. If you order the HO set, it comes with three cars. And if you order the N scale set, it comes with two. Now these are FMC combination box cars and probably one of the most common freight cars from the 1970s onward. So this seemed like a pretty good match for us to put our new paint schemes and new artwork on these cars. So starting today, you can go down and talk to your dealer and order these cars, and we'll see those next year about this time. So that is pretty exciting. Let's see what else we've got in the works. I know we've got some Genesis stuff that we're going to talk about, and I'm pretty excited. Now, I know some of you guys that are into the modern stuff, you might not be as excited about these as I am, but the the Jeep 9s are one of my favorite locomotives. And according to our sales, it's one of your favorites too. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we're going to start out. Now, some of you guys got my hint the other night. A few of you did. I said 1973 Paul Simon. Well, that was the name of the album and song, Kodachrome, because everything looks worse in black and white. And that's not how this locomotive got its name. However, the song and the paint scheme did have a common thread, and that was the box of Kodachrome slide film. Now, for you young guys, back in the old days, we had to put film in our cameras. There was no digital. And Kodachrome was one of the most popular medias to use in the railfan community for many, 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 many years. Even 20 years ago, it was extremely strong, and there was a few holdouts. Unfortunately, Kodak, they discontinued Kodachrome a number of years ago, and most guys shoot digital now. But Kodachrome had the same colors that the SP and Santa Fe in their failed merger used for their colors. So we're offering these for you guys, and I'm pretty excited about these. These are based on the Southern Pacific rebuilds. We're going to offer these in 4 different road numbers, and these are all from the late 1980s. So if you want something that's a first generation, that's a little bit more recent in time, these are a perfect choice. Now, one of the things I want to talk about today too is we're just going to show you what we've got. We'll go in more detail in the upcoming Train Tuesdays, and don't forget, we also have our new monthly live video called the Atheran Extra, and we're going to have a special guest. Mr. Janik himself has agreed to come on board that night with us, and we're going to talk about these GP9s in detail that night. So keep an eye out for your social media feed for when that broadcast goes out. So one thing I did want to show is if you see these hanging up in your hobby shop or if you see them online, we've kind of changed the format a little bit. Briefly, Genesis HO, we're kind of going with this gold banner. You can see here we have HO up in the right-hand corner. We're getting the gold from the actual logo. If it was a Genesis N scale, you'd see the blue banner. So it's just kind of easy for you to see in the PDFs. Here's one we got a lot of requests for. It was the Seaboard Coastline, the split image. This is late 1960s. And we're doing a couple of different variations here for you. One of the ones that we had requests for, you've heard me talk about the product suggestion email. We got some on this one, and we felt it was time to run this based on the amount of feedback we were getting. Here's one you might have surprised you. This is another one, and if it wasn't for our product suggestion email, we probably would not have done it. A small footnote in railroad history, but the Northern Alberta Railways, they had some GP9s. They were a joint venture between CP and CN, and these could be seen on their Route 65 to 1975 approximately. And again, we're going to talk more in detail on that because our developers had a lot of fun getting the research for these guys. Here's another one that was requested, Chesapeake, Ohio. This was their 1955 to 1957 order. And really, you know, maybe by some considered somewhat plain, but I think it's a nice, nicely done paint scheme. We're offering this one in 3 different road numbers. Now here's, I mean, it's hard not to get excited about this release. Here's another exciting release, Milwaukee Road. A lot of you guys were talking to us, sending us comments. I saw it at Train Tuesday. Hey, when are you guys going to do some Milwaukee Road? And not only are we doing Milwaukee Road, we're doing 2 different time periods. We're doing the as delivered 1950s, and then later the 1970s billboard. But here's what's really cool, and I'm going to zoom in on this in case you had not noticed it. This has never been done with the Atheran GP9 Genesis releases. Milwaukee Road had a rather unique way of displaying their road numbers, and they literally had these metal number boards, metal plates. And so these models are going to feature these separately applied, I believe they're metal etched number plates to the locomotive per the prototype. That's a first for us. And that's really neat. And this is, again, this goes back to our researchers doing all the research to make sure that we're giving you not only a road specific detailed locomotive, but a road number specific detail. And this is one of the things that, you know, Milwaukee Road was doing. It kind of sets them a little bit apart from the other guys. And then last but not least, and if you're a BN guy, you're gonna want to think about these. Now we're doing them as the repaints, the 1967 repaints, but these are the Great Northern in the big sky blue. Really cool paint scheme. Believe it or not, I think I've said this before, this was actually considered at one point to be the Burlington Northern paint scheme. Remember, Great Northern came out with this paint scheme in '67. They spent a lot of money on their logo, their paint. And then in 1970, we have Burlington Northern. Now, while in the end, they did not adopt that paint scheme, this scheme is very reminiscent of a BN paint scheme. So they changed some colors and they modified some things, but you can definitely see some BN heritage. Another thing to take note, too, is since these locomotives were painted in '67, they weren't repainted, you know, right away after the BN merger. So it's not uncommon to see pictures in the mid '70s of these locomotives renumbered, but still in their original big sky blue paint. So that is what we've got for GP9s in this release. And I'm going to stop that real quick and look at some comments, because remember, I can't see your comments when I'm going through those screens. So let's see what we've got for the comments. Yeah, David says going to have to get some Milwaukee Road and GN GPs. Yeah. I had a hard time trying to figure out what is my favorite. There's some really great ones in here. I understand. I totally understand. Not this time, Ben, sorry. But keep your eyes posted. You know, we're not going to forget you. I'm going to put this up here, even though it's not exactly pertinent to what we're talking about. But Austin's like, hey, you know, new logos, new colors, new shirts, new hats. Yeah, we're working on them. We really are. We had started working on some last year, but we kind of stopped with the rebranding going on. So now that we're done rebranding, you're going to see some neat stuff. And I'm working on some stuff in the background that I'm really excited about that I can't wait to share with you guys. Let's see. Any other? Kodachrome is going to be fun to weather. Yeah. I'd like to see some pictures of that too. let's see. Any other questions on? Well, Brandon's excited about the SP and the Northern Alberta. That again, like I said, that was one that was heavily requested, and really the developers and the artists had a lot of fun doing this GP9 run. It was just great to see these. George says he loves them all. Yeah, I do too. That's the problem. Uh-huh. I jokingly said this afternoon when John was on board with me. I said, you guys in development just keep making stuff that makes it so I don't have a paycheck. We have some really great models that we're coming out with this year, and these GP9s are no exception. Let's see. What else have we got here? Robert, that's a good question. He wants to know, any chance you guys would ever do the Milwaukee Road GP9 to GP20 rebuilds with the funky cab number boards and the horse filters? That would also open them up shorelines such as the Georgetown Railroad in Texas. I don't know if we'll do those, but there's a pretty good possibility we would look into it and possibly do those, because it would require a little bit of tooling work and such, but anything is possible. And let's see. Nick, yes, there has. And of course, you probably know why. I mean, Montana Rail Link has been in the news a little bit, BNSF just taking over those guys. Yeah, we have had requests for Montana Rail Links. We haven't had anything currently that would fit for those paint schemes. One of the things we got to keep in mind, especially with Genesis, is just because a certain locomotive was painted in Montana Rail Link, we might not have all of the parts and pieces to make that accurately. Now, sometimes we can do something in the Atheran line, but right now we have had requests. We're looking into some possibilities for some future releases this year. Let's see. Just getting some requests for some Rock Island. Yes, that would be cool. That would be cool. We'll see. Our developers are busy with so many things. Rick, yeah, I see and this is a comment that we get quite a bit. We are working on something in the background, and when we feel that it's ready to be introduced, we'll talk about it. Some people ask, why don't you just have the Cadies with the models? And I mean, technically we could do that, but keep in mind the price of the models would go up, and we're just afraid that we don't want to make these too expensive. It doesn't sound like much, but it's enough of a thing where we feel it's better to get the plastic couplers with it. And if you want to upgrade, you can, because not everybody does upgrade these, believe it or not. It's kind of an option. But Rick, to answer your other question too, we are working on something, and I think you'll be pleased when we get done with all of our research with it. All right, well, we're going to move on to our next item. So let's go to our next item, and that is our first Atheran. This is going to be Atheran HO. And it's going to be the SD40T-2. This is an Atheran. So briefly, again, a little bit of color coding for you guys that get this in print or see it online. Atheran HO, it's going to use the yellow for the banner, yellow coming from the logo. And it's what we call the everybody's engine. One of the things to remember about these is they're not just going to be as delivered locomotives, but they are going to be road name specific. So what you see here are locomotives being offered with lots of detail, but not as specific as Genesis. So the first one that we've got up are these repaints. The old UP took the SP in 96. I know a lot of guys are really upset about that still to this day, and I can understand why. But here we've got some UP still in the red sill, so we're looking at 2001. We had to do Rio Grande. We just had to, not only because of this locomotive, but again, always requested. There's a loyal fan base out there for Rio Grande equipment. And guess what? Another Kodachrome. SP Kodachromes. These are 1985 on up. Now you'll notice that on the gyro lights for the SP, and if we look at our rotating beacon on the Rio Grande, if you get this, the DCC with sound, those will function. Here you've got the really cool Christmas tree lights, as they call them. Now, Atheran, we still like to have some fun. We still like to do the what ifs. Here's our legendary livery. This is the SD40T-2 in the Black Widow paint scheme. Never really happened, but could it have happened? It's possible. Maybe in 96, the SP and UP never happened. Maybe the SP kept going. And we all know that a lot of us like the heritage units. It's possible they would have done something like this had they survived after 96. So we did a Black Widow version. And this is part of our legendary liveries. We're also doing this. Speed lettering, not legendary liveries. And I know it's a simple paint scheme, but it's still a sharp looking paint scheme. So here's one we haven't done in a while. We're going to be doing these guys. Potash, however you want to pronounce it. These are cool. We're doing these in 2 different road numbers, and everything that I've shown you in the Atheran SD40T-2s, it's going to be available with or without DCC and sound. And of course, everything is got LEDs in it now. In fact, none of our equipment going forward, even into the roundhouse line, everything's going to be LED, so no more of those bulbs. So let's see if you guys got some questions / comments on the SD40T-2. Let's see, we got some. Ronald's pretty happy about these. Yeah, it's a neat paint scheme, really is. Brad says it's pretty hot. Yeah. Looks like the Black Widow's the winner of this series of paint schemes. Look at this. There's a lot of you guys liking that. Yeah, a lot of you guys had. This is another one. I mean, we had suggestions for this. Zach is happy about those Kodachromes. Yeah. There we go. Denver Rio Grande tunnels. We had to do Denver Rio Grande. We just had to. Yeah, the Christmas lights, Christmas tree lights on functions on those. Yeah, those will definitely. Yep, Denver Rio Grande. Again, it's one that we get a lot of requests for. All right. It's great comments. Sounds like you guys are really, really happy with those. All right. What else do I have for you today? Well, here's one that we haven't done in a very long time. This is under the Atheran HO. And this is an interesting item that has a neat little history behind it. We're talking about the Rotary snow plows. These are neat. Now, believe it or not, this goes all the way back to the 60s, mid 60s. And, you know, originally these guys had a rubber band powered drive. Okay, they weren't powered. They're just, you set them on the track and the axle would spin a rubber band that would spin the rotary blades on the front. And rudimentary, but for 1960 standards, it was an action accessory, if you will. So we thought, you know what, we're going to do something else. In the past, we had these with a standard steam tender, because in the real world, these rotaries are powered, but they're originally powered by steam, but they still needed a locomotive to push them. They weren't self-motivated. So what we've done this time is we've added a F7B unit. Let's take a look at these. And we had to do Alaska Rail because who else would need one of these? Well, Alaska Rail would. These are based on paint schemes from like the 1970s, 1980s. Here's the Canadian Pacific Rail. Again, 1970s, 1980s paint scheme. We had to do Conrail because, Conrail, they were up there in the Buffalo area of New York and Utica. Yeah, they get some snow there. We've got a Northern Pacific. We didn't stop there. We did a few more. We did the Union Pacific, and we've also done BNSF. And, it's funny that we're doing the BNSF. It wasn't much more than about 20 some odd years ago. BNSF, then a new company, had to get one of these rotary snowplows back into action. And it's covered in one of the BNSF annual books of, I believe, 97 or 98. And there's some neat pictures of that setup. So with the powered B units, you can run a designated snowplow train if you like. Now, these come standard DC, but they are upgradable to DCC. So this is something fun. It's one of those things that, we've had it in our arsenal since the mid-60s. It's been refined. Now, one thing, too, I do want to let you know is that rubber band drive system, that's long gone. It's actually a DC motor now. So that that'll be a little bit easier than replacing rubber bands. Yes, the B unit is powered. It is DCC ready, though. So if you're running a DCC layout, you'll want to get a decoder put in there. They just come from us without a decoder, but they are DCC ready. So no fear, they can be upgraded really easily. So yeah, fun stuff. What else have we got? Zach, I kind of figured you'd like the BNSF one. I kind of figured that. No SP this time. Well, that's good. Glad to hear that. And I realize some of you guys out there, I'm seeing the comments. It's like, okay, it's kind of like, I've said this analogy before. It's kind of like listening to your favorite radio station, or even if you're into the music subscription systems. You know, the song that's playing right now might not be your favorite, but it's somebody's favorite, and your favorite might be coming up. So we try to get a really good cross section of stuff to please as many people as possible, because we obviously want your business. But, you know, if you're not seeing your favorite today, that's understandable. We still got plenty of months in the year. At some point, we're going to come up with something that you like. Is the DCC available from the factory installed? It is not. Now, just DCC ready, but these are going to have the 21 pin. Those are real easy to install. And Tom's got some interest for you guys. UP still uses rotaries. Yeah, and I mean, that region of the country, I don't doubt it. All right. So let's see. That takes care of the rotaries. What's next? You know what? We get a lot of requests. Not always, but we got some requests recently for more steam era stuff. And you know what? Steam's not just for the more seasoned veterans. We're seeing more and more younger guys getting into this hobby, and they love steam. And so naturally they want freight cars that are going to work with their steam. So we wanted to come out with these cars. These are Atheran HO dome tank cars. Now, these are in the days when tank cars still had a frame. So we're talking 30s into the 50s. And we're having some fun with these. Okay, again, these are Atheran HO. I'm going to zoom in on these just a little bit so you guys can see the cool artwork. So we're offering these in singles, but we're also offering them in a multi-pack. And those multi-packs will include 4 cars. So here's our first one. We got Union Oil. Really colorful car. 1930s era, late 1930s. Champlin Refining, 1950s. Now, a lot of what we're going to see here today is in the 1950s, but don't forget, early 1950s, in some cases right up until 1960 or so, a lot of Class 1s are still using steam. Here's Richfield, 1950s era. Again, 2 singles and a multi-pack of 4. Union Starch and Refining, 1952. Bell Oil, this is going back a little bit, 1937. And NDM, 1960s. That's our newest one out of the bunch. So if you're modeling, 1930s, to say mid to late 1930s up to 1960s, depending on your railroad, you're going to find these out there. These will be perfect. And these are just, this is a really neat era as far as tank cars. These were really colorful. A lot of advertising put on most of them back then. Not quite like what we see nowadays. So for you guys operating steam and early diesel, these are perfect for you. I see a comment. Do you own other brands of stuff? Well, I'm a model railroader, so I still go to train shows. It bears the repeating too that out of everybody that's on board Atheran, as far as staff, out of all of us, there's 2 guys that are not active in the hobby. The rest of us, from product development to artists to product managers, myself as a marketing guy, we're all into model railroading. We all have our strong points and such, but yeah, we're all into it. And 2 of us are going to a train show here locally in Champaign this weekend. So, oh yeah. Yep, Kyle picked up on it. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We've done some market research, we've done some surveys, and thanks to you letting us know what you're modeling, yeah, we see trends. We definitely see trends and folks wanting to do some modern stuff. That's why we came out with the AC4400s. We saw guys that wanted more 70s, 80s, 90s. So we've done some stuff there. If you look at the GP9 run that we're doing now, there's a little bit of everything in there. There's 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or sorry, no 90s, but we've got that. But we also want to make sure too that the guys that are modeling the 50s, the 60s, that they've got something. So each month we try to cover a nice broad base, and we're going to start seeing more N scale too. So we're going to do HO, we're going to do N scale. We want to make sure that we get something out there for everybody. Justin, you want to know if we'll do the Bombardier cars again? Oh yeah, we will. It might be a little bit, but yeah, we haven't abandoned those. Let's see. Late night, I'm going to put you up there. He wants to know, would you consider a run of data only paint on freight cars where the road name and numbers are put on there by the modeler, but all the other stuff is on there? Okay, so like the data reporting marks. We actually did that recently with some hoppers. I believe we did it around November, December. And they did okay. It's not, honestly, it's not as big of a seller as one that's ready to go out of the box, but that doesn't mean we won't do it again. We'll experiment. We also know that, folks will gravitate towards certain trends, and we try to keep ahead of those trends and offer them again. So that's a possibility we'll bring those back. I can tell you one thing we're not bringing back. It's blue boxes. Sorry. There are plenty of well-known manufacturers out there that do offer kits of various levels. We're, however, going to go with our ready to go out of the box. High Train's happy. He says, I like that you guys are coming out with some pre-war stuff. I run mostly steam, so it's pretty nice. Yeah, we get that. So just like Donald, he says he models 1954 all the way to 96. That's quite a range, but that gives him the ability to really zero in on any one era. Maybe he can do an operations night for 1960s, and then he can do another operations night the following night in the 70s or 80s. So depends on where you're from. Let's see. I thought I saw another comment on here. All right. So let's see what else we've got. So like I said, there's something for the Steam guys. So sticking with, we're going to go a little bit further in the aero line. We're going to go 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I don't know about you guys, but I always can use a flat car. These flat cars are great for a lot of different industries, or maybe you've got a team track on your layout. Flat cars are perfect for that. Let's zoom in on these so you guys can see all this. So these are part of the Atheran HOS line. So here we are. We've got 1960 Santa Fe. We're offering these as singles. You can see we've got 2 road numbers for the singles. We're also offering these in a multi-pack with 3 different road numbers. Now, I know you might have an industry on your layout or your club's layout, and you could stock up on some flat cars. Flat cars are always necessary. That 3-pack is going to be a great way to get that industry taken care of. And you do get a savings in price if you buy the 3-pack. In 1975 on up, we've got the Burlington Northern flat cars. Again, 2 different road numbers in the singles and a 3-pack. Here's one we haven't done in a while. Chicago and Eastern Illinois. 1960s era. 2 singles and a 3-pack. And the Delaware and Hudson. This is a 1970s paint scheme. 2 singles and a multi-pack of 3. Now you guys in the 80s, check out the Sioux line. That's a cool car. Now that's a car that's just begging to be weathered. So you're going to want to get the 3-pack. You know what? Pick up some of those Milwaukee Road Jeep 9s. Pick up a multi-pack and a couple of singles of Sioux line. Get some weathering, and you're on your way. 1980s for that one. Frisco, 1968 plus 2 singles, multi-pack. Let's get into some a little bit more modern. A lot of you guys love the 90s. Here's the TTX trailer train. This is for 1990s era. And then last but not least, the UP. We've always got high demand for freight cars in Union Pacific, especially this era. This era seems to have a lot of interest. This is 1968, so it goes into the 70s. And again, 2 singles and a multi-pack. So maybe you're at the point of your layout where it's, hey, you know what? It's time to put some industry on here. Flat cars are the way to go. There's so many different roles that they can play. Terry says, good job on the road names, but more CGW, TOFC, please. Well, okay. That's something that we can probably do in the future. Now, Marvin's got a neat tidbit, if you didn't know. Atheran, he says the TTX flat car is still used on wind turbine unit trains as buffers between the extended length flat cars. Yeah, that's true. I have seen that. So there you go. It's a great use for that. Even though they're using the F89 flat cars for those, those blades, they still need an idler. And that's another use for these flat cars. You can use them as an idler. Terry's got an interesting tidbit I'm going to throw up here. He says those Frisco cars were built for aircraft boxes. That's an interesting tidbit. I did not know that. Jake here, it's cruel, but I'm going to put it up because it's another good use for these flat cars. CE and I, a friend of mine, was an uber fan of that road, so I hacked up a Sioux line, wanted to make a bridge, and guess what? Yeah, a lot of these, in fact, not far from Atheran here, where Horizon is, there's a farm field, and you cross it with an old freight car. I believe it's a Rock Island freight car. And yeah, some of those did end up for outside of railroad use. But if you think about it, it's perfect for being used for a bridge. And I've seen it more than once on a farm. All right, let's see what else we've got, because I've still got a lot of things here, and we're already moving right along. So this is another one that you guys have been requesting for quite a while, and we wanted to bring it back. We know that your layout is not complete without some trucks. Specifically, trucks and trailers. So we're bringing back the 70s era, 1972 Kenworth. And we're bringing them as a set with a 45-foot smooth side trailer. Now these are perfect if you've got, the first ones that we've got are the black and white. These are all just considered independent trucker colors. So you can get the white one, you can get the black one, you can put your own decals on it, you can make your own truck line. There's a lot of things you can do with these. So we've got the black, we've got the white, we've got a green. The green, I wonder if that would work for maybe if you got some BN decals, you might be able to make something out of that. You've got the red. And then we went some interesting colors. We went with a metallic blue and a metallic purple, because let's face it, these trucks, even back in the 70s, had some pretty cool paint schemes. But we wanted these to be somewhat basic for two reasons. We wanted to keep the cost down. And the second thing is we wanted it to be a blank canvas for you. We wanted to give you the opportunity to make up either your own trucking company or so these are always great for anywhere on the layout. Yeah, see, Terry gets it. Green for BN, red for Coke. Yep. Hey, yeah, there you go. Herc saying his wife likes the purple. Yeah, the purple's cool. There you go. There's an opportunity. You could make your wife the CEO of a truck company. So yeah. Didn't do any plain silver trailers this time, Ricky. We did the white, no silver. But, since it's white, you can fix that real easy. And then Zach, I see your question, and yes to all of those. Zach's asking if I rail fan while I'm here in Illinois. Oh yeah. Will the trailers have numbers? No, these are going to be pretty basic. We're going to leave that all up to you. And the cool thing is, a lot of the decal manufacturers that are out there, they make decals for HO scale trucks. So we've basically given you a blank canvas. And with that blank canvas, you can pretty much make anything you want. Now this is a set, so it's the tractor and the trailer, and retail on these is $64.99. But talk to your dealer, because that price that he has is going to be slightly different. Now we know that you're probably going to want some more trailers. So what did we do? We did some more trailers too. So let me bring those guys up real quick. So more 45-foot smooth side trailers, same colors as what we talked about previously, so you can add to it. So maybe you got industrious one night and you found some decals for one of your trucks, and you're like, hey, that was cool, that was fun, but I need more trailers. Well, we're offering the trailers by themselves. Same colors. So the black, the white, the green, the red, and those two metallics, the blue and the purple. Those will be $34.99. Again, that's retail. If you wanted to, you could. It might actually fit pretty nicely. John's asking about the Kodachrome that we talked about earlier. So John, everything that you're seeing today is for pre-order. So you have until April 29th to pre-order any of those Kodachromes. Once your pre-order is in with the shops, it takes about a year for that to get done. So if you were to order those today, you'd probably see your Kodachrome locomotives probably the end of April, sometime in May of 2023. Yep, they would be perfect for that. All right. A lot of trucking comments out there. I love it. So that's perfect for the layout or your module, whatever you're working on. Okay, keeping in that theme, in the rail and road transportation industry, we've got something else to show. And that is some 53-foot containers. I'm going to zoom in so we can see the details here. Now this first one, Canadian Tire, we got requests for this. Got a lot of requests for this, actually. So I was pretty happy to see these come back. We're offering these. These are coming in a pack of 3. So there's 2 each. And of course, all the road numbers are different and there's no duplicates. So 6 containers per line. CSX, this white scheme, another popular choice, another thing that we were hearing in our product suggestion email. Not only that, but the CSX bracketed boxcar logo that they did back in the mid-2000s, that's another popular one. We had a lot of requests for that. And then Crowley. And 2 more that are always popular, Ferromex and UPS. So these are the 53-footers. And everything that I'm showing here, this was all based on feedback we were getting from you guys. The CSX fans are extremely loyal, and they wanted to see some containers. So I know some CSX fans out there are going to be happy. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be happy with that. Harold says he likes all those containers. Okay, nothing wrong with that. You could always do that. Let's see. I don't always put your comments up, but some of your comments make me laugh. Only recently learned that Canadian Tire is the Walmart of Canada, not just for tires. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about those. Those are pretty cool. Ferromix is definitely getting some love. All right. See, we try to get something for everybody. We try. All right, so we have one more thing. Now, you N-Scale guys, I know you N-Scale guys are out there because I hear from you. Yes, we have some, and I'm excited about this N-Scale release. This is a great little car. Let me bring him up on screen. So it's time to do the Pullman standard 4427s again. Now, ironically enough, the ones that we talked about last year about this time, those are hitting the dealer's shelves right now. So stock up on those. I know I'm going to have to stock up on these. These are great cars. Now, I had one in the studio the other night. These have really nice detail. Now, N-Scale, no more Talgo trucks. I think originally when we came out with these, they had that. They've been engineered now so that they have nice body-mounted couplers, metal wheel sets, and won't run on code 55. They'll run on standard code 80. They track really nicely. Metal etch detail parts like the roof walk. And for N-Scale, the end details are really nicely done. They're not too thick. So we wanted to do another run of these. And again, this is Atheran N. So we're taking the blue for the Atheran N. We did the Cargill for 1967 on up. And the nice thing about these is we tried to pick a range of years so that you guys are all set. The other thing is, and I'm super happy that we do this with these, we're offering these as singles, but we're also offering them in a 3-pack. So if you want to make a nice grain train, you can. Chessie, I know you guys have been asking for Chessie. And Chessie is one of those lines that doesn't matter if it's HO or N, Chessie fans want it. And so we had to do the Chessie. Now these are B&O. So these are the B&O ones. So if you're a B&O fan, you're going to want to get these. These are actually early 80s era. This would have been some of the last freight cars painted in a Chessie paint scheme. We got the Frisco, the 1971 paint scheme, and we've got Milwaukee Road represented. And these Milwaukee Road, these were real common. These were all over the place. So Frisco, 1971, Milwaukee, good for 68 on up. So if you're modeling the late 60s, early 70s, you were in good company here. And again, all of these cars, 2 singles and a multi-pack of 3, all different numbers. So you can buy all of those part numbers and not have a duplicate. Check out the Northern Pacific, 1967. And here's one for you, the Rock. Now, what's really interesting is we did the Rock Island, but we did it in the original 60s paint scheme, the gray with the spelled out Rock Island. Those are the ones that are available now. This time we did the Rock. So you've got that Rock Island blue with the new stylized Rock logo. So if you're an N-Scale guy, You know, these are perfect for N-track modelers or Fremo N because you can build up a really nice train very easily with the multi-packs. Now, I like them. I don't have a huge layout. I just have a small switching layout, and I love them because they are so easy to switch, even long strings of them, backing up, going forward. With the body mounted couplers and the metal wheel sets, and I'm running code 55 track. I have zero issues with these. That makes for a really pleasant operating session. Nicholas is happy. Bankruptcy Blue, yeah. Terry's happy about more Milwaukee Road. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. They were everywhere. Nick, good question. I'm glad you asked that. Is there no longer a Prime for Grime in the Atheran series? No, Prime for Grime's here to stay. We'll offer it occasionally throughout the year. That has not gone away. And Andrew, I see your question about or comment about the parts. We are working on taking care of that situation. We are aware of it. We're working on steps to take care of that. All right. So N scale guys. Yeah. Don't worry, Terry. I think we'll probably do some in the Atheran HO line. Jay's happy about those B&O. Yeah. It would be cool. All right, so that's what I've got for you for the month of April. Great month. I'm really looking forward to talking more about these in the future. So remember, we have Train Tuesday. It's every Tuesday at 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we talk about a few of the things from the month, and we go into more detail. This show would be 2 hours long if we tried to do that on everything. So we're just kind of giving you the grand overview of everything that's coming out for pre-order. You have till April 29th. It's a Friday. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to have the Atheran Extra. If you're not familiar with the Atheran Extra, it's a kind of you come into my workshop and we just talk. It's a roundtable discussion. Sometimes we'll have industry experts on board or editors of major magazines. This time we're going to feature Janik, one of our developers who had a lot of work involved with the GP9s, and he's got some personal connections there too. So it'd be nice to talk to Janik about the GP9s. We'll have some other guests too. So watch for that. That comes out usually on a Friday night about 7:00. We'll announce it on our social media feeds. If you haven't done so yet, check out the video that we did this morning. Myself and John and Janik talked about the new era of Atheran and where we're going and what we're going to be doing. There's a lot of neat stuff in there. N-Scale guys, you're going to want to tune in and listen to that as well. We're doing some exciting stuff in Genesis. We're doing some exciting stuff in Roundhouse. And we're really just listening to what you guys are wanting. We want to produce the best models that you're asking for. So go over to our YouTube channel and like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll see that video. And it's about 25, 30 minutes long. So it's a short video, and it'll give you a great overview of what we're doing going forward. So we're really excited about this. And the other thing that I'm excited about is we get to go to train shows again. And I'm going to get to see, hopefully, a lot of you at the Rocky Mountain Train Show in Denver, Colorado. And that, believe it or not, is next weekend, if I remember right. So that's the 1st and 2nd of April. And we're going to be there. We're going to have a new booth. We're going to have some great stuff. We can talk about everything that you see here, and we can talk about some other things. And it'll just be great to see everybody at a train show again. So I hope you're looking forward to that as much as I am. I've got time for a couple of questions about everything we talked about today, or maybe what you see with the new logos and what we're doing going forward with the branding, or just Atheran questions in general. So I will look in the comments here to see what kind of questions you may have. Here's a great question. Any chance of more Genesis Phase 5 P42s, preferably some as the as-delivered units with original steel nose and also some bolt nose units, but without PTC? So we are planning on some things in that area because we've done the Genesis P42s twice now. So we're going to have something here in the not too distant future. So stay tuned. I think you will be happy. Jimmy wants to know, when are we going to see another run of the SD70 Ace units? Needs some Norfolk Southern power. That's a pretty good question. We will probably see some more sometime this year. I don't know exactly when, but that's a pretty good possibility that we'll do those. Those always sell well, and you guys really like those. Nicholas wants to know, is more N scale in the works based on the recent survey? Seems like there's maybe one announcement a month. Yeah, so if you watch our video that we did this afternoon, John talks about some new projects that he's working on, and they are N scale. So we are refining. The great thing about the rebranding is we're refining things. And not only is there just new N scale, but now there's going to be Genesis N scale. So the same, pretty much the same level of detail that you'd see in the HO Genesis, you're going to see an N scale now too. And that's going to, going forward, we're going to see new projects come out, and they're going to have Genesis level details. Ryan, that's a good suggestion. I'm going to put it up here. Can you please do the solid yellow DM&E hoppers? So what I'll tell you is, if you can go to atheran.com and go to the Contact Us page, select the product suggestion email, and that goes right to development. And that's a great comment. So that's the kind of stuff that we need to hear. If there's enough demand for those type of freight cars, we'll definitely do them, but definitely send that comment in. With N-scale coming to Genesis line, will we see N and HO locomotives being released at the same time? So generally, yes. If we have everything that you saw today, we have an ETA of having those products in stock in May of 2023. So if we announce an N-scale Genesis tank car, and we also happen to do a Genesis HO tank car of the same type, and they're introduced the same time, they'll generally be delivered about the same time as well. Let's see, Andrew saying, I need new vehicles, cars, and maybe a Kenworth K100 day cab. Great suggestion, and we are working on some things, so stay tuned. You know, the vehicle market in both HO and N scale is not what it should be, and we do have some things in the works. Hopefully, it will help that a little bit. Jimmy, that's a great idea, actually. Atheran should have a photo page for us modelers show off what we did with your models, like weathering or custom work. Jimmy, that's a great idea. For right now, though, what you can do is you can always post if you're on Facebook, which, yep, you're on Facebook. You can always post to our account because not only just folks here at Atheran, but your fellow modelers might want to see what you're doing. You'll also see sometimes stuff featured on either Train Tuesday or the Extra. So by all means, we want to see your work too. And you know what? Stay tuned as we go on through the year. We might actually have a contest similar to what we've done in the past on weathering. So good comment suggestion. Tom, I just knew you were going to ask this. How the Rock Island Blue Jeep's coming along? Not fast enough for us. All right. Well, I'm starting to see some questions kind of waning off. So last chance, get your question up there. Timothy's got a good question. He's like, any plans to do the Amtrak P42 in the Operation Lifesaver scheme? That would be a fun scheme to do. That would be a real fun scheme to do, wouldn't it? We'll have to see. To see if that's in the works. All right. Well, there you have it. There it is for April. I want to thank you all for joining us. Remember, we'll go into detail on Train Tuesday, and we'll also have an Atheran Extra live here pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that. But until then, hey, you know what? It's the gateway to the weekend. It's time to get into our workshops. It's time to get in the layout room and get some modeling done. Don't forget to talk to your dealer, says we had some things shipped from the DC here earlier this week. And some of the things that we talked about last year are now on dealer shelves. So you might be getting some phone calls, specifically on some N scale and HO scale freight cars. So until next time, I want you to have a great weekend. Be happy, be healthy, be safe. And by all means, high greens, everybody. Take care.